If you walk the halls of the Department of Justice or the FBI, you're going to find it a lot quieter these days because Donald Trump and his regime, we've been reporting about this, have either been firing or pushing out or causing people to quit based on the Trump regime's unlawful conduct. Some of the key staff at the Department of Justice, the key lawyers there, some of the most senior, seasoned people and their teams who look up to them as they work in teams. Similarly with the FBI, some of the FBI career agents who have worked on some of the most important terrorism cases, cyber cases, cases involving things like sex trafficking and some of the most heinous and despicable crimes. They've either been fired because maybe they worked a little bit on a January 6th related case, which is grounds under the Trump regime to get rid of you, or as they've seen the Trump regime engage in this criminality, they couldn't aid and abet it. They couldn't stay silent. It just got enough where they just said, we've got to quit. We'll go into the private sector and leave. Now Donald Trump is taking steps with Kash Patel, I just think, to fully destroy anyone else who has credibility, who is of a stature where they're important, working at the DOJ and the FBI with this news that's been reported exclusively, originally by MSNBC. Ken Delaney and talks about how Trump and Patel and Bondi now basically want to change the entire direction of what the FBI does and turn them essentially into Donald Trump's kind of personal domestic police force in a way, and not do the stuff that the FBI does. So like literally putting the FBI on night shifts, roaming through cities. And I think what Trump is seeing as, he's recognizing, well, wait a minute, I have to make up fake emergencies in order for me to get the National Guard under my control and put the National Guard in these cities. Or, I'm going to have to, at least in DC, invoke an act that only lasts 30 days. But I think Trump's saying, well, I already have the FBI field offices in all of these states. So if the FBI is already there, what if I just basically, this is how Trump's thinking, like, what if I just turn the FBI into just the police departments in those communities? So whereas you'll have an LA County sheriff or in the city, the Los Angeles Police Department, well, what if we just say the FBI field office in LA, they become basically the Trump Police Department right there. Them and ICE and Border Patrol, they go through all of the cities. And the same thing with the FBI in all of the other states. And this way, the Trump police force, the Trump Gestapo, is in 50 states all at the same times, running patrols in a kind of a militarized fashion. And that's what they're doing now, as they're basically, giving these FBI agents and DOJ officials kind of their last and final warning. You want to be a part of this or quit now? What are you going to do? So FBI Director Kash Patel is imposing these changes, transforming the FBI into a Trump National Police Force, which they say will be focused on violent crime. Current and former officials tell the MSNBC, and a lot of soon-to-be former officials as well, at the expense, they say, of the FBI's long-standing role protecting U.S. national security from terrorists, hackers, and spies. On a national call Thursday, which we're learning about now, top FBI official Jody Cohen informed the heads of more than 50 FBI field offices that Patel plans to equip FBI agents with tasers, that all agents are expected to spend time investigating violent crime, and that the Bureau will begin allowing other federal law enforcement agents to join the FBI after an abbreviated training, whether or not they have a college degree, one current and four former officials say. What that means to me is that these 18-year-old ICE agents who are getting recruited there with minimum training, they become ICE, and then they're grandfathered in, which isn't the right use of the term grandfather because it happens right away. Then they can become FBI agents right away without even having the skill set to be FBI agents or previously even ICE agents. In addition, the FBI plans to cut around 15% of its workforce, 5,800 more people from a total of around 37,000, the FBI field office leaders were told, according to sources, coming at a time when FBI agents have been ordered to devote time now to immigration enforcement, when dozens have been required to now patrol the streets of Washington, D.C. each night. News of this change is really, really infuriating FBI agents. This is putting the nation in jeopardy. They seem to be making national security threats second, said Rob D'Amico, a retired FBI agent and MSNBC national security and law enforcement contributor. Let's bring in Harry Litman right here. Harry, you are the former top federal prosecutor in the Western District of Pennsylvania, former top DOJ official at Main Justice in Washington, D.C. This is serious stuff. I mean, how your office would work with FBI, how important the United States Attorney FBI relationship is, what the role of this is not the role of the FBI. To me, this is Donald Trump basically saying, look, FBI, you investigated me and did January 6th. I'm basically getting rid of I'm nuking the entire FBI. Harry.
This is nuts. I actually would have thought, Ben, when I first saw this, is this like a spy, magazine satire? Come on, you got to be kidding. Because anybody old enough, and I am, to remember what happened in the wake of 9/11, the FBI did a huge, much vaunted, very cumbersome and very successful retooling of itself. And now were they focused on violent crime. That's the stuff, the core stuff of state and local officials whose role as the primary law enforcement folks on the street, the Trump administration seems to have forgotten. But they completely reconfigured the agency. Bob Mueller, it's his sort of lasting kind of achievement. And now, and as you say, the FBI agents, proud would be one way to put it. Maybe, they are not going to be happy about this. I actually thought it was an extra little kind of measure in the DC order that Trump was going to have FBI agents walking night patrol on DC streets. It's exactly you might as well have them, give haircuts in prison. It's the exact opposite of the reason they signed on to the FBI, which is about big cases. As you say, very important. My number one relationship as U.S. attorney, weekly lunches with the FBI person in charge. The offices that were successful ran well with the FBI, which has this kind of position. Some, you hear grumbles about it sometimes, but as absolutely the premier law enforcement agency. This is basically worse than the worst nightmare that FBI agents had when they heard that Kash Patel was coming, who was an antagonist. And then when the administration broke its promise to put somebody from the FBI in the number 2 position. This is the new brass coming in and not just showing contempt for them, not just showing a willingness to completely, cut their ranks in half or more, but it almost feels like out of spite, giving them the very thing that sort of rookie recruits in police agencies do. Not to mention, that's the point that D'Amico makes that you reference. There's a reason why the FBI retooled itself as a first and foremost, not just a responder to, but a preventer of terrorism. That's where all the expertise is. And if you literally take those guys, half of them you fire or they just can't take it, so they leave. And the other half are, looking at convenience store robberies. It's very hard to judge, but basically one way or another, it totally increases the security risk for the country of the kind of big terrorist actions that the FBI has retooled itself in order to be able to do. So you feel like this could only be done by, renegade political officials who hate the government, who seem, anyone who's been there, I've been there close. We've been, talking till we're blue in the face about how completely inaccurate and dystopian this crazy deep state image is. But now it's not just a matter of having leaders who have contempt for you, but you do your best to keep your head down and do the right thing. You may not do the right thing anymore. And by the way, at every level, we have problems, including the FBI, trying to elbow out the sergeant on the beat who's been there 10 years, or people who the FBI does not know how to do what they've been assigned to do. And they do know how to do what they've been taken off of. Both aspects of public safety, the sort of day-to-day and the potentially cataclysmic, catastrophic ones, are really gonna suffer. And that second aspect, very hard to say, but that's what you're going to be hearing from agents. If you think that they've been doing valuable work since 2001, then it's the folly of the first order to try to, simply strip them of their responsibilities. Could only be done by people who think that they're part of the deep state and haven't been doing anything good. So now it's not just this ideological position by Patel and Trump. It's this enormous bet on the public safety of Americans. And speaking personally, I don't like where they've put their chips down one little bit. And I don't think any of the FBI agents out there who are not going to take kindly to it do either.
Harry Litman, Talking Feds YouTube, Talking Feds Substack, Talking Feds podcast. Everybody subscribe. This is hard to do. Lots of things are unprecedented. It's hard to just put it in words, how unprecedented, literally destroying what the FBI is and reconstituting it as a personal, basically police force for Donald Trump, which is exactly what the FBI did not want to sign up for. We'll keep everybody posted each step of the way. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you, Ben.
Make sure everybody, you subscribe to the Talking Feds channels right now. Just search Talking Feds and subscribe. Talk soon.
See you later.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.